female ambassador of Poland to Ireland. Since the embassy in Dublin was established exactly 30 years ago, so we are celebrating a very happy anniversary. I am so inspired to see more and more women taking their rightful place in the workforce, in government, and their professional lives in general. I am also delighted to be an ambassador accredited to Ireland, the country which has so many women driving the policy. We have all done great work in the field of equality in the workplace so far, but there is still so much more that needs to be done. And we all have a part to play in instigating the change. I cannot fail to mention the similarities I see in the history of both Ireland and Poland when it comes to female emancipation. Poland and Ireland both regained independence in the turbulent times after the Great War. In 1918, both in Ireland and Poland, women won the right to vote. Both countries have great heritage of eminent women who left their mark in history of that period. In the early 1920s, Ireland saw Constance Markiewicz becoming the first female cabinet minister in Europe, by the way, wife of the Polish artist, another nice link between Poland and Ireland. And a few years later in Poland, world-famous scientist and Nobel Prize winner Maria Skłodowska-Curie was founding National Research Institute of Oncology, which is open to this day. Both our countries have strong Catholic roots and traditions, which Polish diaspora has successfully used to build bridges with local communities here in Ireland in the years after Poland's EU accession in 2004. In the 1990s, both Poland and Ireland went through serious economic changes. For Ireland, it was the Celtic Tiger. For Poland, it was when we became the first country in the world to abandon communism to create market economy. Having said that, 3 decades after those economic transformations started, we are still far away from equality in the workplace. Many women are occupying less important positions than men. The underrepresentation of women's voices in leading positions means that their lives and experiences are not sufficiently reflected in policies and strategies. The low numbers of women in decision-making also mean a waste of talent and resources. Imagine only around 32% leadership roles are taken by women in the European Union. When I look at those figures and trends, I strongly believe that those of us, females who hold positions of leadership, have the duty to do all we can to further empower young women. It is my hope that this webinar will contribute in any way possible to raising awareness and self-belief among women. Women in Poland, similarly to those in many other countries, have a special celebration on the 8th of March. This date might have different meanings in different countries or for different social groups, ranging from human rights activism to simple appreciation of women's participation in public or family life. Traditionally, in Poland, since the 1970s, the 8th of March was one of the most important dates in the calendar. The funny story from that period, and in fact, it could be also regarded as a sad story for those who remember the difficult time of socialism imposed on Poland, is that Polish ladies on that special day would receive a carnation and a voucher to purchase stockings, which was a very valuable item back then. So in general, approach was quite conservative. However, With the democratic transition, the approach has started changing gradually, and the 8th of March has slowly become a date when not only men can express their gratitude to women, but also when women themselves publicly voice their concerns and address issues close to their hearts. I am very happy today to be joined by female leaders from the world of business, science, and politics in both countries. I want to thank all of our panelists for taking the time out from what I am sure are busy schedules in order to participate in this webinar. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce our 6 speakers who, on the eve of the International Women's Day, will discuss this important topic of women in leadership. I am listing the panelists in order of their appearance. From the Irish side, we are honored to have the Lord Mayor of Dublin, Hazel Chu, 352nd Lord Mayor of Dublin, and the 9th woman to hold the office. Professor Yvonne Galligan, the Director for Equality, Diversity and Inclusion in the Technological University, Dublin. She is a political scientist specializing in gender and politics. Minister for Justice Helen McEntee, who is an advocate for paving the way for women's rights in politics. From the Polish side, we welcome the following panelists. Wanda Buk, previously Deputy Minister in the Ministry of Digital Affairs and currently Vice President of the PGE Capital Group, which is Poland's largest energy sector company with respect to sales revenues and net profit. Anna Schmidt, Secretary of State in the Ministry of Family and Social Policy, at the same time the plenipotentiary of the Prime Minister for Equal Treatment. She has been voted the most influential female politician in southeastern Poland. Anita Kijanka, CEO of CAM Creations Group, communications hub specializing in new technologies. She's also the founder of Strong Women in IT initiative. Both ministers, McEntee and Schmidt, can't be with us in person. However, they did record a video speech for us that we will include in the webinar. Before I hand over to my colleague Piotr Ziembacz, our coordinator for the webinar, I want to say once more, welcome and thank you for your time. It is wonderful to have you here. I wish you all a very fruitful conference. Hello, Piotr.
Thank you very much, Ambassador.
Yeah.
As some of the speeches are pre-recorded, as Ambassador mentioned, we don't have QAS as an alternative. We invite you to our networking session after the webinar. We're live streaming, so a very warm welcome to all of you who are joining via YouTube. We will share the link on the video from the webinar on the Embassy's Facebook page on Monday, the 8th of March, to mark the International Women's Day. And it is a great pleasure for me to introduce our first speaker. It's Lord Mayor of Dublin, Hazel Chu. I'm just waiting for our technical team to let me know when Lord Mayor is ready. In the meantime, I'll just tell our viewers in Poland and in Ireland a bit more about Lord Mayor. So Hazel Chew is the ninth woman to hold the office of Lord Mayor of Dublin. She studied politics and history in UCD and trained to be a barrister at King's Inn. She first became involved in politics in 2014. In 2019, she became the first Green Party councillor to be elected in the local elections for the ward of Pembroke when she topped the poll with impressive 4,000 first preference votes. In the same year, she was elected chair of the party, and she very often lends her voice to promoting diversity and equality and is a regular media contributor. So and now I'll just wait on a word from our technical team, and hopefully we'll get Lord Mayor Hazel Chew there. All right. Okay. So, Kamil, could you just send me a message and let me know if Lord Mayor Hazel Chew is in the lobby? So, if Lord Mayor Hazel Chew is not here yet, Kamil, could I ask you to play a video that Ambassador Anna Sochańska and other ambassadors here in Dublin prepared for International Girls' Day? International Girls' Day is same as the Women's Day. It's a really important holiday. And to mark it on annual basis, we have a really good video with Ambassador Sochańska and all the female ambassadors here in the diplomatic corps in Dublin. So, Kamil, if you could play that video.
And I am the ambassador of Poland to Ireland. Together with my colleagues, the other female ambassadors posted in Ireland, we wish to convey a special message to you.
Today, on 11th of October, we celebrate the International Day of the Girl.
You may not have heard about it, but we believe it is very important
to give this day the recognition it deserves. On this occasion, we address you, our younger colleagues, our younger sisters,
to tell you this from the bottom of our hearts. You are all unique and beautiful in your own way,
and you must try to make the best out of what life has to offer.
We, female ambassadors in Ireland,
Come from different parts of the world.
from different backgrounds and have different life experiences.
But what joins us together is the fact that we all came here
To proudly represent our countries and their legacies.
For many of us, the path that led to this moment
was not always easy and posed its own problems.
So we understand that being a young girl at the beginning of your own path can be challenging.
regardless of where you come from.
But we also know that so much depends on you. So be brave.
Demand and enjoy the rights set forth in the UN Convention of the Rights of the Child. They are your rights.
No one has more power to change your life than you.
We are all different, but we are all important in our own way.
don't try pretend to be someone you're not.
Always be yourself and accept yourself the way you are.
You are the ultimate you, the ideal you, the perfect you.
Don't be afraid and believe in yourself.
Learn new things, go after your dreams.
Even make mistakes. We all do. But once you do, try to learn from them.
Do your best. Be respectful towards others, but always demand respect on return.
Don't forget, the world is in your hands.
Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Happy Day of the
Girl.
Girl. My name is Riley, and I am the ambassador of Finland.
My name is Yoli Samaya, and I'm the ambassador of South Africa to Ireland.
My name is Sabine, and I'm the Chargé d'Affaires of Canada in Ireland.
My name is Daige Potzer, and I'm the ambassador of Germany here in Ireland.
My name is Manuela, and I am the ambassador of Romania to Ireland.
My name is Haris, and I'm the ambassador of Cyprus.
My name is Elena Sharaput, and I am Chargé d'Affaires of Ukraine to Ireland.
My name is Carla Serazzi, and I'm the ambassador of Chile.
My name is Katerina, and I'm the ambassador of Greece.
My name is Dr. Emenike, and I am the ambassador of Nigeria to Ireland.
My name is Gilan, and I'm the ambassador of the State of Palestine to Ireland.
My name is Eliana, and I'm the ambassador of Brazil to Ireland.
My name is Patricia, and I am the ambassador of Colombia.
My name is Gergana, and I am the ambassador of Bulgaria to Ireland.
My name is Anna, and I am the ambassador of Poland to Ireland.
Madam Ambassador, Madam Minister, ladies and gentlemen, I really regret that I cannot join you in person, but urgent duties outside Warsaw forced the changes of plans. However,
we have
because I
Mayor
attach
Hazel
great
Chu
importance
on the
to
other
this
line,
event, I wanted to record
but
my
has some
message to
technical
thank Madam Ambassador.
difficulties. So, could I ask you to pause the video? Sorry. So at the moment we're working with Lord Mayor Hazel Chu on her connectivity. So in the interim, we would like to show you a pre-recorded video with one of our other panelists, Minister Schmidt, who's Secretary of State. So it's going to be a 5-minute video, and hopefully after that video, we're going to bring Lord Mayor Hazel Chu. So just let me just introduce State. She is based in Ministry of Family and Social Policy. She's a Polish MEP, sociologist, graduate of the Faculty of Social Sciences at the Catholic University of Dublin. Previously, she served as the Secretary of State and Plenipotentiary of the Prime Minister International Dialogue. So you share the that Minister Anna Schmidt and her prepared for us today.
Madam Ambassador, Madam Minister, ladies and gentlemen, I really regret that I cannot join you in person, but urgent duties outside Warsaw forced the changes of plans. However, because I attach great importance to this event, I wanted to record my message to thank Madam Ambassador and Polish Embassy for this initiative and for organizing the Women in Leadership Conference. It is crucial to highlight and promote the role of women in politics and societies to empower women and girls so they believe in themselves and their abilities. I would also like to send my greetings to Madam Minister and Madam Lord Mayor of Dublin. Our examples show that women can reach for the highest positions. We prove as well that empowering women is not a national issue only, but one that crosses borders. Therefore, it is even more important that Irish and Polish women like us stand side by side to encourage young women to be bold, confident, and unlimited in their choices. Women's full participation in socio-economic and political life is constrained by many factors, including higher levels on female poverty, greater participation in caring responsibilities, and exclusionary institutional rules and procedures. Despite a long history of women's participation in public life and their ever-increasing involvement, women worldwide are still underrepresented in all aspects of decision-making. Polish women won their electoral rights as early as 1918 as one of the first in Europe. 100 years later, in the general elections in 2019, women accounted for 42.1% of the total number of candidates on election lists to the lower chamber. Ultimately, the number of seats occupied by women accounts for over 28% of the total number of seats. In the higher chamber, almost 1/4 of the seats in the Polish Senate are occupied by women. Women leadership is not needed in politics only. Women have a role to play also in economic life. Polish women are enterprising. Over 1/3 of companies in our country are run by women. For years, the female entrepreneurship rate in Poland has been one of the highest in Europe and among OECD countries. According to the Eurostat data, the level of managerial positions in 2018 occupied by women in Poland was one of the highest among European Union countries. 43.2% compared to the average 34.2%. Fewer women are holding positions on managerial boards. However, in 8 years, between 2010 and 2018, we saw an increase of women on board of stock exchange companies, an increase from 11% to 23%. A comprehensive pro-family policy that enables parents to combine professional and family responsibilities is the key condition for women's high professional activity and their leadership functions. The Polish government attaches great importance to this, which is why expenditure related to family benefits has been gradually increasing for several years. Now, Poland is one of the European Union leaders when it comes to the involvement of GDP affected to these purposes. The work is not yet done, however. There is still much to be achieved in terms of the perception of female leadership. Fortunately, no one today questions the right of women to participate in politics and socio-economic life actively. Unfortunately, women's commitment and careers are still much more critically assessed than men's. Polish Nobel Prize winner in field of poetry, Wisława Szymborska, put it well when she wrote, "The man had views, the woman was still just a whim. The equivalent of his willpower was her womanly stubbornness, and his prudence her calculation. And in situation where a man was called a tactician, the woman remained a schemer." In these troubled times of pandemic, we need even more female leaders who integrate the female perspective into national and global politics. I wish myself and all of us to find these female talents as soon as possible and include them in the mainstream of political and socio-economic decision-making. I wish you an interesting debate, and I'm looking forward to the feedback of the conference.
I would like to thank you, Minister Anna Schmidt and her team, for taking their time in their really busy schedules and preparing this video for us. And we send them all the best wishes here from Embassy of the Republic of Poland in Dublin. And now at the moment, I'm just waiting for our technical organizer to confirm when Lord Mayor is ready to go online. And our next speaker after Lord Mayor is going to be Van de Boek, who is VP for PGE Group, one of the biggest energy providers in Central Europe. So, Kamil, if you could send me a private chat message just letting me know where we at with getting Lord Mayor on the stage. Thank you. Okay, great news. So Lord Mayor Hazel Chu is with us now. So Kamala, can you bring her on the main stage, please?
Hello, everybody. Miss Lord Hazel Chu is right now trying to connect via her telephone. So please give her a moment, okay?
Thank you. Okay. All right. So I'm getting some news from our organizer that Lord Mayor's camera and microphone should be working soon. So we're all really anticipating the address from Lord Mayor, and we all know that she has a really busy schedule at this time of the year. So even more, we really appreciate her time here. Yeah, just checking status with Kamil. So Kamil, do you think we'll be able to get Lord Mayor on stage in the next 2 minutes? I'm just conscious of time. So unfortunately, we're still having some technical difficulties. Offline we'll discuss this with Lord Mayor, and in the meantime, I would like to invite on stage our next speaker, Wanda Book.
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. Hello, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, especially ladies. I'm very happy that I can talk to you right now, and I can share with you my perspective. Maybe some of you find it inspiring, or if not, that's okay. That's only my perspective. You don't have to agree with that. I must admit that I'm always a little bit afraid of an event like this, and I will tell you why. When I was working at the Ministry of Digital Affairs as a vice minister, I remember the situation. I will never forget this situation. I would like to share with you. Once a friend of mine, it's a journalist, called me and asked me to join the panel, the expert panel he was organizing. And he told me a little bit about this panel, and then I said, okay, that's very nice, good idea to discuss those things, but I think that my colleague from the ministry, another vice minister, would be more suitable for this, because actually this is the area that he's covering, and I'm covering something completely different. And then he answered me. He told me, Wanda, but actually I need a woman to the panel. And I was like, oh my God, really? So you don't care whether I'm a professional, whether I'm an expert about this. You only care about my gender and because you need a woman to the panel because it looks good right now. You know, I will never forget that. Never before and never after I felt so irritating about my gender, about this whole gender issue that is around. I never felt some kind of humiliated as in this specific moment. And you know what? I think that women today don't want this, and for sure we don't need this. So I think that this is a very specific moment of the history that we should be really, really careful about, because there is a moment, this is the time when we can pass the Rubicon after, and behind which there is no longer fight for equal right, for equality, for fairness, for fair treatment, but there is some kind of positive discrimination. So what I wanted to say, to tell you right now is that, yeah, we should be very careful, and we should be smart about choosing our battle right now. You know, supporting others. I'm sorry, I'm just doing like that all the time. Sorry, I'm gonna stop. I see it right now. You know, supporting others is, of course, always a good idea, and it's always good, and especially when the others are in some kind in a worse situation. And you know what? I think that women generally are in a worse situation when it comes to their professional lives. And why is that? Because generally there is a time in our lives, in most of us, when we are giving a birth to a child. Of course, those of I'm not saying that everyone needs to, of course, for sure not, but most of us have this moment in our lives. And this is the very difficult situation for us, because this is the time when we have to some kind of reconcile, you know, those two very difficult areas of our lives. And this is the time when I think that women really need the support and are really in a worse situation than men. And, you know, that will never change. You know, we were in a worse situation, we are, and we will be, because this is how it is. Sometimes there is a time in our lives, in a women's lives, when our career slow down or even stop, sometimes for good, because we are deciding to devote our lives for our children. And I think that what we should focus about right now is to create mechanisms, is to create regulation which would help us to come back to work. And I think that we should say it out loud that we are in a worse situation, and we need preferences. But somehow we are a little bit afraid of that. We are a little bit afraid of saying that we need preferences. The question is, why is that? Why we are so afraid of admitting that we need help? That we need help because we are in a different situation. I observe something like that. I observe women who don't want to admit that that they are going through a very challenging time, that they cannot reconcile their career, with being a mother. You know, it's very difficult. I can observe it right now when I observe my friends. But Actually, this is, I personally think, but that this is right now the only aspect of our life, of our professional predisposition, which differs us from men. And there is no other differences, I think. And I think that no other fears, no other prejudice should prevent us from trying to reach our goals. And, I've been working in a quite demanding environment for almost a decade. I observe women and men on their professional fields every day. And you know what I think about women? I think that if they only want to, and only are a little bit of lucky, exactly like men, they are educated and they are competent. If they only want to and only are a little bit lucky, just like men, they go to the industries that they are dream of. As long as they have predisposition, determination, and are a bit lucky, just like the men, they reach their heights. And actually, I would never confirm stereotypes that, for example, women are more emotionally involved, sensitive, all the stuff. We know that that this stuff exists, those kinds of stereotypes. It's not good, but I'm not sure whether we should really focus on fighting with those. Perception is not the reality. Personally, I prefer to focus on doing my job as best I can because I care about my job and not because I want to prove something that someone. And also, I do not agree with, creating an ideology that we need woman leadership, female point of view. I think that we need a good leadership. We need reasonable point of view. And if we really want to contribute as a women, I think we should provide good leadership, not female leadership, good leadership. This is what we should focus on. Sorry. When there is unequal treatment, injustice on any area, discrimination, no matter for what reasons, I don't think we should fight with them only on behalf of women. These phenomena actually are not only about gender, and we all know about it. And we should generally fight with them because, injustice, unequal treatment is just bad. So as I told you already, we should be smart about choosing our battles. And my battle, my personal battle, is to fight against discrimination, against injustice and unequal treatment, no matter who is affected, whether it is a man, woman, a person of color, no matter what. My battle is to support women in making it easier to return to work after childbirth, to maintain the level of competences after a maternity leave, to reconcile the role of a parent and employee, because I think that there is a lot need to be done on this area. And my battle is not to creating a sense of the existence of two different worlds when it comes to competences and predispositions. Words of a man and of a woman, a kind of woman leadership, woman point of view, female point of view. Well, I cannot tell you that I observed in my professional career that there is something specific in female point of view. There's nothing specific. If women are competent and is intelligent, well, she has an interesting point of view. If she is not, well, like same as a man. So I don't think that there are two different words that we should make equal. of course, when it comes to competences and predisposition, because I told you that there is some kind that need to be done when it comes to the, like our natural predisposition to giving a child to give a birth to a child. I think there are no different worlds. Professionally, there is one world of people who are men, women, people of color or not people of color, people competent and incompetent. And you know what? I just want to tell you that I don't want to contribute to the situation as I experienced. So the one that I was invited to the panel only because I was a woman, not because I was woman who is competent, because I was not on this area, but because I was a woman. Even though I was working so hard, days and nights, to become as professional as I only could be in the past, I was acknowledged only because I was a woman. I don't want to contribute to that. And I would like to leave you with this, to maybe it will be inspiring for some of you. Maybe it will be not. This is my perspective. You don't have to agree with that. And also I know that what I share with you is based on my personal experience. So I would love to hear your opinions, your experience, and maybe for sure that will be inspiring to me. Yeah, I think I over the time right now. So
no, it was perfect, just on time. Thank you very much for this really inspirational presentation. I think it was really insightful and extremely clear. So again, and thank you very much. So I know that you have a really tight schedule as well, and myself, ambassador, and our team here in the embassy, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice day. Okay, so many thanks to Wanda Book for this presentation. We think we can get Lord Mayor Hazel Chu on screen now. Lord Mayor, it's great to see you.
Hi, Peter. It's lovely to see you. Folks, we had a technical difficulty with joining earlier on, and I'm very, very, very sorry to start the speech by saying this, but it will literally be 60 seconds because I have a call that I cannot push out.
That is fine.
So just very quickly, thank you to the embassy and thank you to the ambassador and the team for having me. And I now have to condense a 10-minute speech into 1 minute. So just the main points to say, listen, it's hard no matter what role in leadership you're in, but in terms of female leadership, we've been progressing. We've definitely been changing the dial, but we haven't progressed to where we want to be, and that involves everyone having to push more. And the reason why I say we haven't progressed to where we want to be is because you can see it that in industry, in the corporate sector, non-profits, every industry, we're currently the gender pay gap is 14.4%. So if you look at how many women are on the table when it comes to boards, it's completely disproportionate way towards male versus female. If you look at our political sphere, we're 22% in Ireland alone. We're 22% on a council level that are female, 21% in the Dáil, and 30% in the Seanad. And in a population where it's close to 50-50, that isn't good enough at all. And this is why women in leadership, it's a rare thing, and it shouldn't be, and it should be something that we should be advocating for, and the women that are in power, that are in leadership, should be pushing for. So on my part, I would love to talk more about it. I'm very sorry I don't have time, but I would love to come back and talk to yourselves. But I also would say, if you have any questions, email me about it, lordmayor@dublincity.ie. And one thing I would say is that the challenge right now is to change not just the conversation. We talk to the cows come home about women being in leadership, about the stresses and the need for them to be at the table, but we also don't have the action on how to get them on the table. We need to challenge unconscious bias when it comes to recruitment process, and that's something that I will be writing to Minister McEntee and also Minister O'Gorman after we have a working session next Tuesday from this office on the topic. We need to challenge what are the barriers keeping women from getting to the table. So very simply, is it family? Is it the fact that we need more public childcare? Is it the fact that there is a lack of mentorship from an early level, from school to university to then work level? Is it simply that people cannot afford it because people can't sometimes afford the professional development to get them there as well? How do we bridge those gaps? And that's what we need to start looking at, and that's what we need to start making sure we have reform in place and policies in places to change. Again, I'm very, very, very sorry, and I look forward to speaking to you all again. So apologies for the shortness.
Thank you so much. I think that it was really well condensed, and I think we've got everything through that we want to do. So thank you very much again, Lord Mayor, and everything that Lord Mayor said about the number of women in Senate, a number of women in Parliament. I think it's a really nice segue into our next presentation, our next panelist, Professor Yvonne Galligan from Technological University Dublin, who I think will really nicely pick up where Lord Mayor left. Hello, Professor Galligan. How are you today?
Hello, Peter. How are you? Hello, everybody, and good morning, Your Excellency, Ambassador Sochanska, and distinguished speakers and friends. It's great to be with you all. I'm going to do my very best to share my screen with you because I have some slides. So excuse me while I try and get that organized. Let me see. Fingers crossed. I have it. So it says not now. Oh, so I'm finding it difficult to share my screen. I'm so sorry. So maybe someone from the technical unit can actually share it with me, please, because I think I sent it on earlier.
Oh, yes, and Professor Galligan, is it the presentation or is it the video?
No, the presentation, please.
The presentation. I think last time we tried, I think we managed to share it from your device, was it?
Yeah, we did. We did.
Okay.
but this time I'll try again. So I press share screen, but maybe I'm doing something wrong at my end because I have the presentation open, but it doesn't seem to want to share for some reason.
All right. Okay. So I'm just checking with Kamal, who's going to join us here, and he's going to lend us a hand.
Hello, everybody. Let me just try to help
Professor
Yvonne Galligan with this issue really quick. So, Professor Galligan, you are using Google Chrome, obviously, yes?
Yes, I'm using Google. Oh, well, yes, I'm using Google Chrome on this. Yes, I am, but
I understand. So, Professor Galligan, when you are pressing the share button, do you see a window that is popping up for you?
It disappears. It keeps disappearing.
Professor Galligan?
Yes, I'm here, but that screen keeps disappearing on me.
Because I couldn't hear you, there were some difficulties.
Oh,
The
sorry.
screen freezed for me, so I couldn't hear you. If you can repeat what happened.
So what's happening is that my screen, when I press share, the little screen, it just pops up for a second and then disappears.
I see. You know, if you have time for it, I think you should refresh the browser. Clear the cookies, refresh the browser, and join one more time. Or in case of bigger difficulties.
Okay, that sounds really complicated even for me.
Yeah.
So maybe Professor Galligan, do you think you will be able to talk around the numbers?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I can. I can talk around that. That's the easiest thing to do. So apologies, colleagues.
No problem. We do apologize. Sorry
for all of this. It's so what I want to do today is to bring an academic point of view to some thoughts on women's leadership in Ireland and Poland. And I would like to maybe begin by some reflection on some of the position of where we are. We have had some indication of this from our last speaker, Lord Mayor Hazel Chu, and also from Minister Anna Schmidt, who have both mentioned statistics and around women's leadership in Ireland and Poland respectively, and they have been very interesting, and so I will just kind of expand a little bit on that. So both of them have pointed out that both Ireland and Poland have quite some way to go before women and men are equal in all aspects of life, in politics, in the corporate world, and in economic and social life more generally. And we find this is the case as they have both described in politics. In the corporate world, women and men are not equal in Poland and Ireland, and also in another important sphere of decision-making and leadership, in the judiciary. So across the European Union, women's share of positions in Supreme Courts is 40%. In both Ireland and Poland, women's share of Supreme Court positions is 25%, even though the legal profession, which is the pipeline into judiciary, is very much dominated by women in both countries. However, what we do find is that in both countries, women are more likely to have a third level education than their male peers are. So in Ireland, 60% of women between the ages of 25 and 34 years have completed their third level education, compared to half of men in this age group. In Poland, women account for over 70% of all students on postgraduate degrees in 2019 and 20. So just very recently. So women are finding equipping themselves with very significant levels of education in order to be able to contribute to the workforce and to society more generally. However, there are some areas where Ireland and Poland do better than the EU average. And one of these is in the area of media regulating bodies. There are equal numbers of women and men on media regulation boards in Ireland, and in Poland, this membership is gender balanced, 40% female, 60% male. And across the EU, this is not the case. The EU level on average is about 1/3 female membership of these boards. And here I think education is where education comes through. So in terms of Ireland and Poland, with women's higher levels of education and skills, higher level of expertise, this knowledge finds a home for itself in the areas of regulation. That legal knowledge, the business knowledge, the cultural knowledge, all comes together in this space and in other areas of regulatory bodies. So looking a little bit more closely at this issue of gender inequality and trying to make some kind of sense of it, it's something that doesn't happen by accident. It is something that our societies organize. And many gender scholars call this organization of inequalities between women and men. They call it a gender regime that a society has. One very distinguished political theorist, her name is Carol Pateman. She describes this organized inequality as a product of a contract between society, women, and the state. She calls this a sexual contract, and she wrote a book entitled The Sexual Contract 30 years ago that still is relevant today. For Carol Pateman, the sexual contract is based on women's subordinate status, and this carries into law, into policy, into practices, and it also carries into social attitudes. So Carol Pateman's contribution to our thinking around how do we make sense of gender inequality is a very useful concept. This notion of the sexual contract is very useful when we're trying to understand the persistence of gender equality in leadership. And it leads to us also, identifying stereotypes in society. Now, of course, as Van der Boek says, we don't want for there to be stereotypes, and we don't want women or indeed men to be stereotyped into very limited roles. But nonetheless, there are these quick measures and quick ways of thinking that develop into stereotypes and images of women's roles in society that are based on this inequality and this lesser status of women towards men in society. And these leads to many assumptions about what are women's roles and what are men's roles. In Poland, and this comes out in terms of time and how people spend their time. In Poland, for example, more than 80% of women spend time doing housework and cooking each day. And about half of Polish women spend time caring for other family members each day. 1/3 of Polish men spend time cooking and cleaning, and 1/4 spend time doing family care work each day. In Ireland, we see similar patterns. 9 in 10 women spend time on housework and cooking each day, while almost half of men do so. And in Ireland, just under half of women spend time doing care work each day, while about 30% of men do this each day. So you can see that just in terms of how time is organized, women carry a much greater share of the caring and nurturing activities required in families and in societies than do men. And yet, in both countries, over 60% of women aged 15 to 64 are in employment. So our societies expect women to carry a double burden of work to a much greater extent than we expect men to. We certainly don't expect that there is a sharing, an equal sharing of all of this work. And might I say that this data, drawn from the European Institute for Gender Equality Index for 2020, is data that predates the COVID period. So it will be very interesting to see what that data shows when it comes to assessing our COVID times. And now let us look to COVID, because this is the background environment in which all of us are living our lives at the moment. Last year, we have seen many issues with regard to women and family life come to the fore. Because women's jobs are often part-time, COVID has increased the insecurity of their employment. The jobs hardest hit in the pandemic, these jobs in the hospitality sector, in personal services, and in retail, are the sectors that are heavily reliant on women's work. Our frontline staff in healthcare, our cashiers in shops, are predominantly women. And COVID has brought a focus on the incidence of domestic and gender-based violence to the fore. Services to vulnerable women and children are stretched to meet demand. Combining work and homeschooling is a daily challenge through this COVID period. And in Ireland in particular, the absence of organised childcare for frontline workers has been an immense challenge to overcome. These issues and more need women's leadership. They are highlighted by women who are speaking up for women and challenging the sexual contract in their spheres of influence. So, for example, the European Parliament has recently passed a very comprehensive report and resolution on gender equality in and after COVID times. It's well worth looking at. It was written and it was steered by a Dublin member of the European Parliament, Frances Fitzgerald. In society, women have come together to speak out and lead the debate on gender equality during and after COVID. Their leadership and that of many women taking action in their communities, in public life, and the corporate world are making a difference. So it's clear that we need more women in leadership roles, because having more women there brings their talents, energy, and perspective to leadership. And that makes a difference to the quality of the leadership and the outcomes in our societies. It brings diverse points of view to the fore, because I have to beg to slightly differ with one of our earlier speakers and say that because women are socialized differently, because women experience the world differently to men, then women do bring a different way of understanding the world and understanding problems in the world to the fore. And when they bring this into leadership, it enables decisions that are more inclusive, decisions that respond to all citizens' needs, rather than responding to the needs of specific and individual groups. So having more women in leadership means a more holistic leadership in all the different spheres of our society. Women leaders at this event, all of us here, by being in the positions that we hold and that our speakers hold, we are challenging the stereotypes around society's expectations of women's roles. And other adults, along with boys and girls, learn from our distinguished women speakers and from our contributions that leadership is something that women do and do well. So in conclusion, let us not lose our voices as we move into the post-crisis time. In our own spheres of influence, we need not accept the old sexual contract. Instead, my suggestion is that we challenge the stereotypes, that we be role models of and for all women and girls, and that together, using our leadership, we can make a better new normal for women and men, boys and girls in Poland and in Ireland. And so I hope that we can go forward in this International Women's Day event to consider these issues. So Peter, I'll hand back over to you now, just to check in with you, because that would be helpful.
Okay, thank you very much for this comprehensive speech, Professor Galligan. I really do appreciate that you took your time and kind of your speech really tied in to what other speakers were saying as well, and I think we've learned a lot about where we at with women in leadership, both in politics and in business, and how far we can go. And I don't know how helpful this is, but I'm in this 1/3 cooking and cleaning, just to let you know. I would like to invite you in around, I think, 20 minutes back on stage, so we can just summarize the whole conference. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peter. And we do not have time to play this other video. Is that correct?
Would you like to play the video now?
Well, it all depends on your running order. I'm quite happy.
I think it's a really good video. Could you tell us a bit more, and I'll ask Kamil to prepare the video that you've sent us.
Thank you, and I'll just introduce it to our audience. And so, as I was thinking about what to say at this event, I was also reminded that as part of the Citizens' Assembly, which is taking place in Ireland at the moment around gender equality, led by Dr. Catherine Day, there was one of the themes that was discussed was in fact women and leadership. And as part of the discussion, the Citizens' Assembly office in the Taoiseach's department created what I think is a really very interesting video where women leaders, some of them known, some of them not so well known in Ireland, reflect on leadership. And I think this is a very appropriate event to hear that. It's short, it's only about 6 minutes long.
Yeah, the video is ready.
Very happy for it to be shared.
Okay, so we're going to share it right now.
What do I see as my biggest leadership achievement? That very first experience of leading, of mentoring, of nurturing, of training a group of people. I think that was very much formative in terms of my own professional and personal development.
I was a female working in a male-dominated organisation, and that stuck to me a lot, and I was admired for that, that I kept going. I believed in my own ability. I believed that I could do it.
I think my biggest leadership achievement has been speaking out publicly about being trans. I've spoken on RTE, I've spoken at Nollaig na Man.
An inspirational leadership award. It was really lovely to be recognised by my profession for everything that I do.
To go back into education and to be in the role that I am today, it's been a journey, but that's one of my greatest achievements. That's where I wanted to go.
For me, as a traveller woman, I've overcome many obstacles in life, breaking down those barriers that come with being a traveller woman that you have to deal with on a daily basis.
Being a disabled woman creates an intersectionality and a lens that's not often looked through. For me, what success looks like is being able to do that for others, ensuring that I'm using whatever space I have managed to obtain to create space for others.
Looking at a series of things like leading people through a significant change or adversity and bringing them through it safely, having learned, having grown, those are the kinds of things that I'm proud of as a leader.
For me, Ireland's membership of the European Union played a critical role in opening the doors for women involved in senior roles.
For me, a good leader is one who puts their ego behind them. Having empathy, humility.
Being aware of your own actions, how they affect others, you know, all of those bits that make someone human, really.
It's that ability to connect with people, to know and understand people. There's a saying that you don't become a leader, that people allow you to lead.
Kindness, collaboration, and vulnerability, realising that there is so much that we each don't know.
Trust is a big thing, that the team of people I'm leading can trust me, that I'm approachable.
You bring people along with you when you are working.
Giving them equity of opportunity to reach their own individual potential.
To be a female leader to me means to be hardworking, resilient, a role model. Very simply, a woman leader is a role model.
I believe that this generation of future women leaders really need to be confident and sure-footed.
To be strong, effective, and courageous.
To be able to support other women
doing things together.
I think my gender identity has helped my career. It's certainly helped me become a more positive person. It's made me a more confident person. It's made me want to do more.
It's also the thing that gives me my fight. You know, if I wasn't a woman, would I care as much about equality? Would I care as much about fighting for these issues?
There were times when it was difficult to be a female in certain situations, finding myself as the only woman in a room, sometimes also being the youngest person in the room.
Being a woman in the military really showed me that women can do anything.
I really can't minimize the impact that mentors and career coaches have.
You're never done learning and improving in what you're doing. I've had some really strong role models, but I've also had sponsors. And I think sponsors are very important for young female leaders, somebody who kind of has your back.
I think what helps more is having policies in place within companies. Certainly when I came out as trans, we didn't have a trans policy within the company. We do have one now. So I think sometimes that leadership step means being the first person to step up, and that's what helps change things and change things for the better.
Having a leader who accepts that challenges exist, that biases exist, that organizational structures can and do discriminate.
It's not about them, but what their skills can do to create change.
If I was giving my younger self advice at the start of my career, I would say surround yourself with people who lift you up and not bring you down.
Believe in yourself.
Have the confidence to step forward.
Be more confident in your abilities. You know, I think sometimes women underestimate just how good they are at things.
Female leaders need to be authentic. Be yourself. Everybody else is taken.
Being able to have empathy for each other, wanting to see success for others as well as success for yourself.
Be brave, be bold, be courageous, and be strong.
The important thing is to have belief in oneself.
Try and overcome those self-doubts.
Never give up.
Establish what your values are, stay true to them, and stay true to yourself.
Diversifying your experience, not allowing yourself to be pigeonholed either in a career path, will be beneficial to you and will make you a stronger and more creative leader at the end of the day.
We all have the power and the capacity to create change, whether that's within our home unit, our family unit, our community, our society, our country, or the world. That capacity is within all of us.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Galligan, for sharing this video with us. And I'll invite you again in around 20 minutes when we do our summary. We have two more speakers. I'm really delighted to invite our next speaker. It is Anita Kianka. She's CEO of ComCreations Group. And she will speak on a very timely and important topic, women in IT.
Yes, hello. Hello, Peter. Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for joining us. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, let's try how to share my screen because I have a special presentation for you. Okay, let's check. This now at the moment, I hope yes. Okay. Yes, I see that you can see it. Perfect. So let's put it full screen. And I will start my presentation. So Strong Women in IT is an initiative that I started 2 years ago. And it is and this is an initiative its goal is to present and show women that lead tech companies. Because usually when you think about women, there's lots of hundreds or even thousands of projects that invite women to join tech. But have you ever thought who those women are who are leading these tech companies? This is something that was truly concerned me, and I was truly interested who they are, who they really are, what do they like, what do they dislike about working in IT business. And this is how this project, this Strong Women in IT, started. And today I will present you the most interesting outcomes from this report. And this report was published 2 years ago. This year we are going to publish the newest edition, so please look and follow our initiative on LinkedIn, and where you will be informed about the next project. Last year, it was exactly the end of November 2020, we published the different report, Strong Leaders Creator, where we wanted to see what exactly companies are doing to promote women in tech, what they are doing at this stage of recruitment, when women simply grow, and how they help them educate, or simply what do they do when we decide to simply have a family, babies, and how they help, or whether they help them in this important stage of life. But coming back to our report, today I would like to present who are these women in Poland, what do they like and dislike in tech industries, and what do they see as success and failures. Because sometimes when you think about being a leader, there's lots of discussion about loneliness, about being on your own with decisions, problems, and all the stuff connected with running a business. So here is something that I hope that you will like and you can relate on. But from the beginning, how did we do this report? Answer to these questions were given by 117 women that are running IT companies all over the world. But the point is that this should be women from Poland, because we simply started to narrow it down and have this point of view from the Polish perspective. And these were mainly owners, founders. There were women at C-level position, and also there were directors and managers, and probably the lowest position was head. But this is also important position. So almost 120 women answered to our question. So when you think about femininity in business in one word, do you have one? There is one that comes to your mind when you think about what the word describe as femininity can describe as feminine in business? In our opinion, after reading this report and all the answers that were given, we may say that this is empathy. So in 2 words, if you could think about 2 words that describe women in business in IT, what would it be? Tech, math, algorithm, software? Really, it is empathy and intuition. Because we asked those women, what are the features that help them grow business? What are the key factors that help them grow, understand project, clients, teams? There were now not, exactly hard skills. There were exactly those soft skills that they presented, pointed, showed as crucial when it comes to running a business in IT. And this is really interesting when you think about starting a business in IT and you didn't graduate from a tech university. Because each day I'm running a PR agency that communicates tech companies. I have PhD in social science, but the point is not to know exactly how these products are created. You have to understand how they are working, what they are doing. And this is exactly what, when you're a leader, you have to do. You don't have to go into details so deeply that you can almost program different softwares. You have to simply connect the dots. As you can see on this presentation, I have lots of dots. You have to connect the dots. But there are 3 successes that those women mentioned as the biggest in 2018. I am really interested in what they will answer this year. And one of them, and there's one important issue here, we decided to divide women represent startups and women represent corporations, because there are different areas and different situations when you think about business. Having a company that is at the beginning of shaping something new and working in a corporation, you have maybe not exactly, but you have different environment when you work. So coming back to this presentation and this slide, when you think about startup and corporation, they are quite the same. So those women mentioned that product development, creating something new, making some already existing softwares better. They are their biggest successes. Think about you. What's your biggest success from 2020? What you are really proud of? And here I will show you some quotes from our women in Strong Women in IT that maybe you will also rely on and resonate. Understanding that developing the perfect product is not synonymous with doing a lucrative business. Change the approach to company development. The second success that was mentioned was team management. Probably if you are running a company or an association or different organization, you know how sometimes it is difficult to find the right team at the right position. So having a great team, this is something we truly say as our success. And here is, I think, quite interesting, but for someone maybe obvious. Finances was almost 1/3 area of success for startuppers, and promotion of what someone is doing has 11 answers. Making our brand recognizable in Poland over there and winning over 50 paying customers. So lots of companies mentioned that being recognizable let them simply find more clients. Failures. In Poland, this is not so like open area. We are afraid of failures. We sometimes ashamed of them and say, maybe I shouldn't mention it, maybe I shouldn't talk about them, because if I will say that they are failures, I'm not so good at. But if you are smart enough, you can learn from them. So here are the 3 failures that women from startups and corporation mentioned as the biggest in 2018. I'm really interested how they will be, what this year will bring us. Product development was the biggest failure for startups in 2018, and almost 1/3 fail here. And what is interesting, overwork was something that was mentioned by more than 1/3 of women from corporations. Probably COVID, pandemic, and all this remote work may cause that this will be even higher this year, but we will see. Team management. As I mentioned, running a business, you cannot work alone. Success is a matter of who you are surrounded with. And here is not always easy task as we see. Too long delay with the decision to enter corporation with one of the employees disregarding your intuition. One of the biggest roles of strong women in IT is not only to publish this type of reports. Our goal is to simply integrate, talk together, and share our thoughts, feelings, beliefs, doubts, worries. We organize every 2 weeks. We organize different webinars where we talk with women who are sharing their experience. And what is really good, I think, is that we can simply saw that there is not something that the grass is greener in the neighbors on the neighbor's side. Sometimes we have exactly the same problems, but we are too focused on it and forget that we are not alone here. So the last failure was in startup case were finances. Obviously, when you start the project, you have to remember that you have to find clients, you have to find investors, and be ready to manage it. In case of corporation, it was product development, where sometimes it is not so easy when the situation is changing so fast. Hiring wrong people and giving them too much trust cause financial problems. This is also one of the quotes that one of our strong women in IT mentioned. I wonder which of you had exactly the same problem. So, and this is an area that I was really fond of, because why do you like IT? Why do you like working in this industry? What are the pros and cons of being part of it? And absolutely, I am exactly representing the same approaches. Please think what is in your case. So 3 reasons why women in tech likes being in IT is dynamic development of the industry, dynamic changes, and possibility to create the future. So as you see, when you think about this woman, this typical woman that works in IT, she must be dynamic. Otherwise, she won't be happy to live and to create such innovative product. And she must to change something, wanted to be disruptive, and wanted to have some influence on the way we live. If you think about nowadays, digital transformation is absolutely taking us over. Without technology, this event wouldn't have place. So as you see, the technology is shaping the way we communicate and even share our knowledge. So what are the dislikes? What are the things that make this industry difficult to work in? And here we decided to divide it once again into startup and corporation. And as you see, these pros are also the cons of working in this industry. Dynamic changes, dynamic development of the industry, and here's man domination and technology is aging. And this is sometimes really important and not get missed when it comes to talk and discussion about technology, because technology is aging, and when you are not dynamic enough, and you are working on a technology that in 2 years may be disrupted or taken by giants that, for example, Snapchat and Instagram, you can simply be really in the trouble when it comes to running a business. And as you see, women mentioned also that this is a man-dominated industry, but I think that sometimes it can be really motivative to simply show that we are good enough and skilled enough to be in this industry. 3 common mistakes. So we have failures, we have success, we have likes and dislikes. So mistakes. What do they see as mistakes that they can in 2018? Management. So it was running a company with not the right people at the right position. It was product development. Obvious thing, taking too many projects results in problems in at least one of them. You have to measure your strength or intention. Being too ambitious or wanting to do too many projects at the one time often causes us many problems. If you are working in a situation when the environment is not stable, you have to take more. Yeah, and this is, on one hand, this is obvious, but on the other hand, it is so difficult. And this is great that we can share in our Strong Women in IT community all our doubts and think how we can measure and how we can grow together with sharing such a problems. And this is really interesting, and I think it's maybe surprising. Not listening to intuition was mentioned by one of them, women from startups, and lack of self-confidence, lack of showing and presenting, promoting the outcomes, results of the work. So this is something that I hope that we will still try to change and be more self-confident, more oriented on showing who we really are and what we can do. I listen to my intuition and I am more sensitive to it. Some things do not have to be rationally justified. Especially we women have this intuition deeply embedded. It's a huge, often unstoppable force. So that's all. This is exactly what I show you, and I hope that you will like it. If you are interested in our initiative, I can maybe type here on our website. I hope that I wasn't too hurry, but if you have some questions, I can, say more words about this questionnaire and these outcomes from this report.
Thank you, and I think this was really interesting. I really do appreciate, and I have to say we're really honored and having you here presenting the idea of strong women in IT. So I personally, I found it really, really useful.
Yes, thank you. It is not easy because when you think about being leadership, running a company, you are so busy, and I am so grateful that so many wonderful women, so hardworking and talented, decided to join and share their experience. Because as I mentioned, there is lots of initiative that promotes women in tech. But we simply still don't know who they really are. What are the this pros and cons of being in IT business. So I hope that this report is shed some light on what we are doing and who they are, and someone maybe can relate and think, maybe this is still for me. Because I don't have to graduate from tech university, I can achieve success being after biology, geography, or political science.
Yes, I think this is really, really inspiring because of the pandemic, the lockdown, and many people were forced to change their careers. So just you proving to us that in order to start a career in IT, it didn't have to be your first education, that you still can go out there, can start your own business and be a success in the IT.
Yes, exactly. Because when you think about different solutions, they are different. You need their different skills, different knowledge. Think about biology. There's lots of medtech companies that are now really having a great time when you think about even the remote medicine control. If you think about geography and all these maps, virtual maps that we are having, fashion and tech business. So I think you can achieve a great success in business, in IT business, only when you have some idea about how you would like to grow your company, and find the right people that will digitalize your ideas, which is not so difficult nowadays.
Yeah, I think digital is the buzzword for 21st century, we're in digital right now. So I really thank you for kind of giving us a bit more details of where women are at with science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So it's really good to know that it's never too late to change your career, and I think that in the coming months we will see more and more people, both women and men, just taking the leap, and many of them going into IT and technology, which is at the moment booming.
Yes, exactly. And what's my biggest dream is to simply have more women CEO, managers and directors, because this causes the technology will be equally created, equally presented for both genders. So I think that this is really cool, because when I think about my clients, unfortunately 80% of them are men. So I hope that in future I will have more clients that will be run, that the company will be run by women, and I can be truly proud of being part of this movement connected with empowering women.
Exactly, and this really nicely ties us into the stats that Professor Galligan shared with us. So we know when it comes to women in business who are chair people, we're just not there yet, and it's the same for Poland, for Ireland, and for European Union. So it's really good to know where we're at and how much more we have to go.
Yes, absolutely. Totally agree. So thank you for the invitation, and thank you for letting me show the outcomes, the more important outcomes, in my opinion, from this report. And please keep your finger crossed for the next edition, the edition 2021.
Okay, yeah, I think everyone is looking forward to anything 2021. I want to forget about 2020. So we're really looking forward to your research. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Introduce our final speaker. And after that, we'll still have a summary and the speech from Ambassador Anna Sochańska. And now I would like to introduce the video we've received from Irish Minister for Justice Helen McEntee. Unfortunately, due to the last-minute events, Minister McEntee cannot be here in person. However, she recorded a video for us yesterday, so many thanks to her and her team for providing this and sharing it with us. So, Kamil, could you start the video, please?
I want to start by thanking you for the invitation to speak at your International Women's Day event. Since 2004, we have been welcoming Polish citizens who have chosen to come and live and work in Ireland. And we are immensely proud that so many of our fellow EU citizens have chosen Ireland as their home, and we are truly grateful for the enormous contribution that they make to Irish society. Of course, there is a deep and long-standing connection between our two countries. Indeed, the history of that close connection can be traced as far back as the foundation of the Irish state. One of the most celebrated female figures from Ireland's history, Countess Markievicz, was married to Casimir Markievicz, a Polish man. Countess Markievicz was the first woman to be elected to the Westminster Parliament and to Dáil Éireann, but she was also the first female minister in a modern democracy, serving as our Minister for Labour between 1919 and 1922. Indeed, her life is a wonderful reminder of the progress many inspirational women have made throughout history and of the long-standing bond between our two countries. That bond has endured and it has strengthened over time. As I've mentioned, we are very grateful to the contribution that our Polish colleagues make in every walk of life in Ireland. And in my department in Justice, we're very fortunate to have a number of skilled and dedicated Polish colleagues working in a variety of areas. This includes our frontline jobs in An Garda Síochána, the Border Management Unit, and in the Irish Prison Service. If I could, I just want to take this opportunity to personally thank them for their dedication and their commitment, particularly during the past year when our frontline services have faced immense challenges. The persistence, the drive, the willingness of all of our frontline staff to go above and beyond the call of duty, to overcome the many challenges the pandemic has presented, it's very much appreciated. So many of those working in the frontline across the justice sector are women, and we are making great strides in improving gender equality across our sector. I also think I'm very fortunate to be Minister for Justice at a time when so many capable women hold senior leadership positions in my department. And last year I was delighted to announce the appointment of Una McPhillips as the department's Secretary General. I have to say I was particularly struck by Una's words on her appointment when she said she could remember many capable female colleagues who in different times, with different opportunities, would have progressed to the highest level long before her. Thankfully, times are changing, and we can see this across the entire European Union. In Ursula von der Leyen, we have our first woman president of the European Commission. Christine Lagarde is our first woman president of the European Central Bank. And I was especially thrilled to see Mairead McGuinness, my political colleague, but also my neighbour and friend, appointed as the first woman European Commissioner for Financial Services last year. And while all these appointments are welcome, we must look forward to a future when we no longer welcome high-profile firsts, women taking prestigious posts for the first time. Such appointments must be the norm and not something that we find remarkable. Unfortunately, we're not quite there yet, and we haven't reached that point. Here in Ireland, despite the introduction of gender quotas, we're still below the international average for the number of female members of Parliament. Only 23% of TDs in the current Dáil are women. There are 4 of us holding full cabinet positions, but that's out of a total of 15 cabinet ministers. There are still too many barriers to women entering politics. I know so many women who are interested, involved in politics, but may not have the confidence. They don't have the confidence in themselves to actually run for public office. I think all of us in political life know so many brilliant women who work behind the scenes in party structures or in constituency organisations, or who campaign on issues that they firmly believe in. So we need to do everything to remove more of the barriers presenting and preventing these women from taking the next steps, putting their own names on the ballot paper. That means making a political life more family friendly. It means more women leading by example, and having women presidents in Ireland when I was growing up as a girl and then as a young woman. This was hugely inspiring to me, in particular Mary McAleese, her 14 years as president. This spanned across the years when I developed a real interest in politics. I was 11 when Mary was elected in 97. By the time she had left office in 2011, I was 25. I was working actively in politics, an assistant to my father. Of course, I come from a political family and I learned so much from my dad, but to have a woman serving with distinction in such an important position in Irish public life during the formative years of my life, it really left a huge impression on me. When girls see other women in strong roles, it gives them encouragement that they too can succeed. And just as girls of my generation looked to women such as Mary McAleese and others for inspiration and guidance, those of us in politics now have a responsibility to make it easier for the girls coming behind us to fulfil their dreams and their ambitions. We need to show them that it can be done. And this International Women's Day, we are asked to choose to challenge. I will use my position and my time in office to answer that call, to drive changes, to ensure politics is a more welcoming place for women. I'm absolutely honoured to serve as Minister for Justice, and I'm conscious that I'm in a department that can do so much to help women in very difficult circumstances, those who need our help. It is a sad truth that the majority of victims of domestic, sexual and gender-based violence are women. We must listen to their experiences. We must learn how their suffering can help us improve our laws and our criminal justice system. Tackling domestic, sexual and gender-based violence is one of my priorities, and I'm introducing reforms to put the interests of the victim first. Last month, I signed the commencement order for Coco's Law, which is also known as the Harassment, Harmful Communications and Offences Act. While working on Coco's Law, I was deeply affected by the stories of many women who were subject to online abuse and harassment. Often they did not even know who to turn to for help, or if what they were experiencing was a crime. This legislation is an essential element in deterring and punishing those who misuse technology to harm others. It will also encourage and support victims to report these crimes, knowing that stronger laws are in place now. I feel privileged to be Minister for Justice, to be in a position where I can introduce changes which will help women at times of great difficulty. But I also feel privileged to be in a position where I can continue the great work of so many women who came before me to improve politics and public life for women. This is a goal that I know we all share. I would like to wish all of the Polish women living in Ireland a very happy International Women's Day.
I want to thank Minister McEntee for such a warm words about Polish diaspora here in Ireland, and many thanks to her and her team for pointing out that Poland and Ireland have really, really close ties, and I really appreciate mentioning Countess Markiewicz, who's just proof of that Polish-Irish international cooperation and those ties have been there for almost 100 years now. So as Ambassador Sochanska in her address mentioned, she also mentioned Countess Markiewicz, who was the first female minister in Europe. And in the same top Poland, we had Marii Skłodowska-Curie. So there were a lot of strong women in the early 1920s, both here in Ireland and in Poland. And now it's really nice to see that Minister McEntee is a strong advocate for having more women in politics and driving the policy, like the example of the Coco's Law. So once again, many thanks to Minister McEntee for this beautiful speech. And now I would like to invite back on the floor Professor Galligan. So we've heard from all of our speakers now. So now I'll allow Professor Galligan for a summary of around 8-9 minutes and or less. It's up to you, Professor Galligan. And then I'll invite Ambassador Sochanska on the floor as well.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much indeed. And I will do my best to summarize what has been a really amazing morning of wisdom and by amazing women that have spoken today. So what I'm going to try and do is try and organize the presentations as I heard them in some shape or form and pick out some of the key themes that I thought emerged from it. I apologize if this is going to be a little bit disjointed, but as participants will understand, I have been doing this as the speakers have been giving their presentations. So much of what I have heard, I have been listening along with you for the first time. So in thinking about what we have heard today, I think we can categorize it in 3 main areas. So one theme is around leadership. One theme is around highlighting the imbalances in leadership. And the third theme is about creating role models. So I have picked up some thoughts along the way given by the speakers, and I will share them with you now. And I was very struck by the theme of leadership that Minister Schmidt introduced when she said that empowering women is something that crosses all borders. And the framing of this in that way enables us, is very resonant with the with what we expect of an International Women's Day event, which is that we cross borders in solidarity with one another as women to support one another in all our lives. And that was followed by a phrase that Mayor Hazel Chu said when she said, "It is not where we want to be on women's leadership." And this was a very common theme that other speakers picked up on as well. There was also the idea that more women in leadership will bring a broad variety of perspectives to all areas of decision making. And again, as Mayor Hazel Chu said, women's leadership should not be a rare thing. It should be a normal thing. Pulling from the video of women and girls for International Girls' Day, it was very clear, coming from that young women should be encouraged to be bold, to be confident in their abilities, to work hard, and to use their connections with others. Indeed, a word resonating from this video, and also among all the other speeches in one shape or form, was the word brave. Be brave and be bold. One of the challenges, and then in terms of leadership, there was a lot of reflection on the challenges. And one of the challenges that women face is reconciling work and family life. And it is a common theme that women face this challenge more than men do. This was a theme passionately addressed by Van de Boek, who spoke at length about family-friendly policies, and that these are more likely to happen when organizations and leaders recognize the benefits that result from having family-friendly policies. It enables more women to be in leadership positions. This contributes to equality, to fairness, and empowering women more generally, which is an all-round positive for society, for political, social, and economic life. And in that regard, Speaker Anita Kijana gave us a fascinating insight into the achievements, the failures, the strengths and weaknesses in the business world that we can learn many lessons from. One of the many gems of wisdom in that presentation that I quickly picked up on, and there are many, but one of them was that success is a matter of who you surround yourself with. These are really true words. Surrounding yourself with the right people is indeed a success. In terms of imbalances, all speakers highlighted the imbalances related to women in leadership in our societies. It was reiterated time and time again that women continue to occupy significantly fewer management positions or political positions or positions of senior leadership. And the underrepresentation of women leads to a lack of balance in decision making, and also leads to the reinforcement of stereotyped representations of women and girls that all of the speakers felt needed to be challenged or called out or other ways addressed. Speakers directly or indirectly referred to the need to work with those who have power, and that is men, and directly or indirectly spoke about taking the message of equality to men more generally. Indeed, bringing men on the equality journey with us is vital for achieving the goal of gender equality. And one of these areas is, of course, the technological industry. And women, one of the reasons women said they found it difficult to work in this area was the fact that men dominated the field. So enabling women to take space alongside men would enable the technological industry to be a more friendly place for women in which to work. The final theme that I want to pull things out from is the area of creating role models and the importance of having role models for encouraging women's ambition was again a common theme across all the speeches. Our last speaker, Minister McEntee, reminded us of the role model of Countess Markievicz in the early years of Irish democracy. And that was a wonderful connection between Irish and Polish communities and Irish and Polish women to have made on this occasion. A particularly useful piece of advice was provided by Yvonne de Boek. She advised us to be smart about choosing our battles. And she shared the battles she has chosen to fight with us on correcting inequality wherever it occurs and encouraging the reconciliation of work and family life. These thoughts complemented the speech of Minister Schmidt, who pointed to Poland's record of success in supporting family-related policies. Echoing Minister McEntee, we know of many capable female colleagues who did not get the opportunity to progress. And so it is important that role models can show that it can be done and inspire others to pursue those paths. So using one's position to improve women's lives is a common feature of the speeches by all today. And in conclusion, the final message I would like to wrap this intervention with is the one given by Minister McEntee, that we look forward to the day when we don't have to count the firsts for women in leadership, that being a woman leader can be done and that it is part of our everyday world. And so with this small effort of trying to pull together all the themes and the fascinating insights that have been shared with us today, I will now hand back over to you, Peter.
Professor Galligan, thank you for this fascinating summary, and I think it really complements the webinar. Thank you very much. And I would like to thank you to all the viewers. Thank you to all of our speakers, and thank you for Venture Cafe Warsaw, who support us technically and organized the webinar from the technical side. So again, thank you very much, and now I open the floor for Ambassador Anna Sochańska.
Thank you, Piotr. Thank you, Professor Galligan. Dear Yvonne, if I may, what a perfect summary of our today's discussion. I'm very grateful for that. I believe that what we have achieved today is a very productive event. And for that, I want to thank all of our panelists. Thank you for the wide-ranging and indeed inspiring speeches. I am grateful that you took the time this afternoon to address so comprehensively the topic on which you all clearly speak so passionately. There is so much to reflect on, and I am sure I speak for everybody joining us this afternoon when I say that it was indeed a powerful and passionate tour de force from our panelists. Wrapping up, I would like to say what I think Lord Mayor Hazel Chu wanted to tell us, that Women's Day should last 365 days a year. We will look very hard. We will work very hard. We will network all year round to make sure that there are more and more young women pursuing leadership careers in politics and business. I use this opportunity to invite all of our panelists and viewers to Women in Leadership Conference next year. I hope that in not so distant future, all of us can meet in person. Let me also thank so much my colleague Piotr Ziembacz, who was not only coordinator but also, I think, the godfather of this event. He was also initiator of this webinar. Thank you, Piotr, so much, and thank you, my colleagues from the embassy, for making this webinar happen. And once more, I would like to wish you all the best on the occasion of Women's Day, and wish you a delightful and great weekend. Thank you so much.